Cat Ben and the Conversation with the Raindrop. One cool afternoon, Cat Ben sat by the window, watching the raindrops gently fall. Suddenly, Ben heard a small voice coming from outside the window. Surprised, he looked out and saw a tiny raindrop resting on the glass. "Hello, Ben. I'm a raindrop. Would you like to know where I came from?" The raindrop said, making Ben's eyes widen in surprise. "Wow, you can talk? Where did you come from?" Ben asked excitedly. The raindrop giggled softly. "Yes, I can talk. I've come from a very long journey. At first, I was water in the ocean. When the sun shone down, I evaporated and floated up into the sky, light as smoke. Up there, I met many other water droplets, and together we formed clouds." Ben listened carefully, his eyes wide with curiosity. "So what happened next? Why did you fall down here?" The raindrop continued. "When the clouds got too heavy and couldn't hold us anymore, we fell down as rain. I traveled through the wind and the sky to land on your roof." "Where will you go after falling here?" Ben asked, still curious. The raindrop smiled. "When I touch the ground, I'll soak into the earth, helping plants and flowers grow. Some of my friends will flow into rivers and streams, and eventually we'll all return to the ocean, where our journey began. Then I'll evaporate again and start the water cycle all over." Ben nodded, understanding now. "So you just keep moving, from the ocean to the sky, then down to the ground and back to the ocean. That's amazing." "Exactly," the raindrop laughed. "The water cycle never ends, and I'm happy to help keep everything on Earth green and growing." Ben watched as the raindrops continued to fall, his heart filled with wonder and fascination about their journey. He whispered softly, "Thank you, Raindrop, for telling me such a wonderful story." The raindrop wobbled gently in the breeze and whispered back, "Goodbye, Ben. I'll see you again after my long journey." This story creates a charming and imaginative conversation between Cat Ben and the raindrop, helping young readers understand the water cycle in a fun and engaging way. Cat Ben and Tun Tun the Lizard. In a small house, Cat Ben lived with his family. Ben was a playful kitten, always jumping around and exploring every corner of the house. But there was one hidden spot under the fridge that Ben rarely noticed, and that was the home of Tun Tun the Lizard. Tun Tun was a small, quick, and mischievous green lizard. He lived under the fridge, where it was cool and safe, far away from the eyes of the humans. During the day, Tun Tun stayed hidden, only coming out to search for food when the house was empty or late at night, when everyone was fast asleep. One afternoon, during a quiet moment, Ben was chasing a small leaf that had rolled into the corner by the fridge when he suddenly came face to face with Tun Tun. They stared at each other, wide-eyed and full of shock. Without thinking, Ben let out a loud meow and jumped back, his fur puffing up in fear. Tun Tun was equally startled and dashed back under the fridge, hiding in the darkest corner, panting and trembling. Tun Tun later told his mother, "Mom, I saw something huge. Its eyes were as big as two lights, and its tail was swinging around. It scared me so much." Tun Tun's mother reassured him, "Don't worry, that's just a cat. It won't hurt you if you leave it alone." Time passed, and Ben and Tun Tun continued living in the same house, but neither dared to cross paths again. Tun Tun only came out when Ben was fast asleep, and Ben stayed far away from the corner near the fridge. But one day, Ben noticed that it had been a while since he last saw Tun Tun. Ben started to worry, wondering if Tun Tun was sick or, more importantly, if Tun Tun was hungry. Ben thought carefully and decided to do something for Tun Tun. That evening, when Ben's mom gave him some rice mixed with fish, Ben didn't finish it all. Instead, he carefully scattered a few grains of rice under the fridge, where Tun Tun usually came out. Every day, Ben quietly left a little food, hoping Tun Tun would find it. A few days later, on a quiet evening, Tun Tun emerged from under the fridge. He glanced around and saw the grains of rice scattered on the floor. Tun Tun immediately knew that Ben had left them for him, and he felt warm and grateful inside. Tun Tun decided he had to thank Ben. That night, as Ben was resting, Tun Tun shyly crawled out and softly called, "Hey, Cat Ben. Thank you for leaving the rice for me." Ben was surprised, but also happy. "It's nothing, Tun Tun. I was just worried you might be hungry. I'm also sorry for scaring you the other day." Tun Tun smiled. "I was scared because you're so big, but now I know you're really kind." From that day on, Ben and Tun became close friends. During the day, Ben would still play around, and Tun would stay quietly under the fridge, but at night, they would chat happily. Ben would tell Tun about his adventures in the house, and Tun would share the fascinating things he saw from his tiny perspective. The friendship between Cat Ben and Tun the lizard teaches us that even if we start with fear and differences, by caring for each other and sharing, we can become the best of friends. Ben and Tun in Grandma's starfruit garden. Grandma's house has a big starfruit tree with clusters of juicy, sweet fruits. Every season, the large fruits dangle from the lush green branches, enchanting Ben. Today, he brought along a fruit picker that Grandma cleverly made from a recycled Coca-Cola bottle. Standing under the tree, Ben looked up and said to Tun, isn't this tree amazing? Every fruit is so big and sweet. Tun climbed up high, marveling at the dangling starfruits above. Wow, Ben! These starfruits look delicious. I want to play the giant bird in the story of the starfruit tree and take you to find treasure. Ben laughed and eagerly agreed, picking the fruits as he went along. When Tun reached the top of the tree, he spread his arms like wings and spoke in a serious tone. I am the bird that eats starfruit and pays with gold. Bring a 3-handspan bag to carry it. Ben burst into laughter but responded earnestly, playing along. Yes, oh great bird, I have the 3-handspan bag ready. Tun continued his role with an important expression. Then pick the fruits, little one. Pick them, and I shall take you to a place with treasures beyond measure. Ben filled the bag, carefully tied it up, and hoisted it onto his bike. Tun perched on Ben's shoulder, pretending to fly, while Ben pedaled back to Grandma's house with a bright smile. On the way, Ben said to Tun, do you think the treasure is far away? I think the real gold is these sweet starfruits and your cheerful smile. Tun grinned and replied, Ben, you're right. The greatest treasure is the joy we bring to Grandma, isn't it? Back at the house, Ben proudly handed the bag of gold to Grandma and shared their entire adventure. The two of them giggled and enjoyed the moment together. Grandma looked at Ben and Tun with a warm smile. My little ones, you did great. Today's lesson is that the true treasures are not far away, but in the simple joys we share. Keep living like this, cherishing the little things, and life will always be beautiful. And so, Ben and Tun learned that happiness isn't always in glittering things, but in the sweet and memorable moments spent together with family. Tun's Tale of the Dragonfly Battle. One night, when everyone in the house had already fallen asleep, Ben and Tun lay under the soft glow of the kitchen light, whispering to each other. Ben eagerly listened as Tun began to share stories about his adventurous life under the fridge. After a while, Tun launched into a thrilling tale about a memorable battle with a dragonfly. Ben, there was this one time I had an unforgettable fight with a giant dragonfly. Tun began, his eyes lighting up with excitement. That day it was raining lightly, and the house was empty because everyone was busy. I was climbing up the wall, searching for some mosquitoes for dinner, when suddenly a huge dragonfly flew into the house. Its wings buzzed loudly, and it had a long tail and eyes as big as 2 black marbles. At first I thought it had just lost its way and would fly off, but no, it kept hovering around and landed right on the wall I was about to climb. Ben blinked, picturing little Tun facing a giant dragonfly. What did you do next? Were you scared? Tun shook his head firmly, but there was a slight nervous smile on his face. I was a bit shaky, but I couldn't let it block my way forever. I decided I had to chase it away. I crept closer, very slowly and quietly, but the dragonfly noticed me. It turned its head quickly, then suddenly swooped down right in front of me. The wind from its wings almost knocked me over. Ben's jaw dropped as he imagined Tun bravely battling the dragonfly. Did you fight it? Tun nodded, stretching out his paws as if reenacting the battle. I jumped up, trying to swat at its tail to make it leave. But dragonflies are fast, Ben. It flew circles above my head, swaying like it was daring me. We chased each other all over the kitchen. I kept trying to catch it, but every time I got close, it flew higher, then dived down to attack me like a true warrior. Ben giggled, thrilled by the story. Oh, Tun, you were so brave. Tuntun laughed and continued, "Finally, I came up with a plan. I pretended to give up, turned my back, and crawled into the corner. The dragonfly thought I was scared and let its guard down, landing right in front of me. That's when I struck. I leaped up quickly and swiped my tail. The dragonfly panicked, flapped its wings wildly, and darted straight out the window." Ben cheered, his eyes sparkling. "You did it! You won!" Tuntun smiled proudly. "Yes, but I also learned that it's not always about being strong. Sometimes you need to be smart, patient, and wait for the right moment. I didn't just defeat the dragonfly. I realized that no matter how big someone is, they're not so scary if you're brave and clever." Ben nodded thoughtfully. "Your story is amazing. I'll learn to be brave like Tuntun." They both laughed, and from that night on, Ben not only admired Tuntun, but also learned that even the smallest creatures can achieve great things with courage and wit. Their friendship grew stronger, like two warriors always sharing the exciting adventures of life together. Ben the Cat and his questions about the little prince. One evening, after a fun day of playing in the garden, Ben the Cat snuggled up next to his mother, eager to listen to a new bedtime story. His mother smiled as she opened The Little Prince and began to read. Ben listened intently, his imagination filled with images of the little prince traveling from planet to planet. When the story ended, Ben had so many questions swirling in his mind. Ben sat up and asked, "Mom, why did the little prince leave his planet and his rose? Didn't he love her?" His mother gently stroked his head. "Yes, Ben, he loved her very much. But sometimes we need to leave the things we care about to understand more about the world. Just like when you went to school and missed your little brother Bo. Being away helped you realize how much you love Bo, right?" Ben thought about his little brother Bo, who always followed him around, and nodded. "Now I get it." But Ben still had more questions. If he loved the rose, why didn't he think she was special anymore when he saw so many roses on Earth? His mother smiled. At first, the little prince was confused by seeing so many roses. But then he remembered that what makes something or someone special isn't how they look, but the care and love we give them. Just like Key, your puppy. There are many dogs in the world, but Key is special to you because you take care of him and love him every day. Ben looked at Key, who was resting beside him, and smiled. "I get it now. Key is special because I spend time with him and care for him." Ben was still curious about the other characters in the story. "Mom, why did the king on that planet think he could rule everything, even the stars?" His mother chuckled. "The king misunderstood what it means to have power. He thought controlling everything made him important, but real power comes from understanding and caring for others. It's like when you help Bo learn to count. You're not in charge of him. You guide and help him because you love him." Ben nodded, thinking of how he always helped Bo count, and it made sense. "I see. It's about helping, not just controlling." But Ben wasn't done yet. "What about the businessman, Mom? Why was he so busy counting stars as if they were money?" His mother explained, "The businessman believed that owning more things would make him happy and important. But happiness doesn't come from owning a lot of things. It comes from love and the relationships we build. Do you remember Kit, your friend? He's always happy even though he doesn't have a lot of toys. What makes him happy is playing with you and having fun together." Ben thought of all the times he played with Kit and realized his mom was right. Kit doesn't need lots of toys, but he's always happy when we're together. But one question still bothered Ben. Why didn't the little prince understand the grown-ups he met? They were so strange. His mother smiled gently. "That's because the grown-ups in the story were focused on things that weren't important. They worried about money, power, and work, while the little prince cared about love, friendship, and the simple joys in life. Just like Tuntun, your lizard. He doesn't need much, just the warmth of the sun and being near you and Key to be happy." Ben giggled, thinking about Tuntun, the little lizard who liked to sunbathe with him and Key every afternoon. "That's true. Tuntun is always happy when he's with us." Then Ben remembered the fox from the story and asked, "Mom, I like the fox. Why did he want the little prince to tame him? What does that mean?" His mother's voice softened as she explained, "The fox wanted to be tamed because he wanted a friend, someone who would take the time to understand and love him. To tame someone means to build trust and love, to create a special bond. Just like how you and Key became best friends after you took care of him every day. Ben looked at Key and remembered how, at first, the puppy had been shy, but now they were inseparable. So taming means you spend time and care for someone, like me and Kai. Ben nodded. But one more thought crossed his mind. Why did the little prince have to leave the pilot? Couldn't he stay with him? His mother gently stroked Ben's hair. The little prince had to return to his rose. Sometimes, even when we love someone, we have to let them continue their own journey. It's like when you leave Bo to go to school in the morning. Even though you're away, Bo is always in your heart. Ben looked up at the ceiling, thinking of how he always left Bo to go to school, but he still missed him during the day and came back to him every afternoon. Then he asked, so why couldn't the pilot see the little prince anymore after he left? His mother smiled and said, because the little prince returned to his star. You see, Ben, not everything important can be seen with our eyes. The pilot couldn't see the little prince anymore, but he would always feel him in his heart. Just like how you always feel the love of me, Bo, Key, and Tun Tun, even when you don't see us. Ben smiled, feeling warm inside. So the most important things are felt with the heart, not seen with the eyes. Then he asked one last question. Mom, do you think the little prince is still on his planet, taking care of his rose? His mother hugged him tightly and said, I like to think so, Ben. He's up there, taking care of his rose and reminding us all of the importance of love, friendship, and the things we can only feel with our hearts. With that, Ben laid down and closed his eyes, feeling a warmth spread through him. He realized that the little prince wasn't just a story about far-off planets, but a lesson about what truly matters in life. Love, kindness, and the things we feel with our hearts, even if we can't always see them. One afternoon, as the weather started to cool, Cat Ben, his mom, and his friend Tun Tun went to the park near their house to play. A gentle breeze blew, making yellow leaves fall from the trees, covering the path. Ben and Tun Tun jumped and skipped among the falling leaves, their curious eyes taking in everything around them. Suddenly, Ben spotted a leaf with a shimmering green color. He ran over, picked it up, and exclaimed with delight, Mom, look at this! This leaf is so beautiful, it sparkles more than all the other leaves. Tun Tun also ran over, curiously looking at the leaf in Ben's hand, and nodded in agreement. Yes, Ben, this leaf is really special. Mom looked at Ben and Tun Tun with gentle eyes, and then softly said, Ben, Tun Tun, do you know that there are things more important than this leaf that we can't see with our eyes? Ben and Tun Tun looked at Mom with curiosity. She sat down, hugged them both, and continued, Can you feel the cool breeze blowing through your hair? Even though we can't see the wind, we can feel it. The important things aren't always visible. They lie in emotions, in the connections between us and the world around us. Ben frowned in thought, while Tun Tun tilted his head and pondered. Ben asked, But what does that have to do with the leaf, Mom? Mom smiled softly and said, This leaf is just a small part of nature, but can you feel the fresh air and the peace it brings when we're here together? The most important thing isn't this beautiful leaf, but the love and happiness we feel when we're with each other. Ben looked up at his mom, his eyes brightening as he understood her meaning. Tun Tun also smiled happily and nodded in agreement. Ben put the leaf in his pocket as a keepsake, then ran to Mom and gave her a big hug. I love you, Mom, and I understand now. The most important things can't be seen with our eyes, but must be felt with our hearts. From that day on, every time they went to the park, Ben and Tun Tun no longer focused only on searching for beautiful leaves. They would sit next to Mom, listen to the wind, look up at the sky, and feel the warm happiness from their hearts.